Hello guys, this is Reza and welcome to our Python tutorials. In this tutorial we're going to talk about inheritance in Python. But what is inheritance? Let's go through an example to understand the benefits of inheritance and how to use that. First of all, in order to talk about inheritance, we want to create another Python file in which we want to add some code. So we'll create a new Python file. We will call this file as people. Why people? Because we want to determine some characters, some people inside this file. Alright, now that we have this file, let's talk about our program. Imagine that we want to have a program for a school. In a school we have got different roles. We have got a teacher, we have got a student, and then we have got a principal and so on. So there are different roles inside the school. And imagine that we want to have separate classes for each role. For example, we have a class. Let's zoom a little bit inside. We have a class for students. So we call this class student. And then in this class, as you remember, we need a constructor. Of course, it is optional, but we need our constructor in this class to instantiate a class and initialize that object. We use def and then init. Using self, we want to give that person first name, last name, and age. So we will give self that first name, the first name. We'll give self that last name, the last name. If you've got any questions about what I am doing right now, you can refer to our previous tutorial about classes. I will also explain that a little bit after I finished up with this phase. Now we have created a constructor. So when we create an object of class student, it means for each student we want to determine what specifications that this student have. We will pass as input arguments, input parameters, the first name, the last name, and age, and self refers to the current object. So for this object we will fill these three variables as the entered parameters. Now imagine that we have got a function for this class, a class method that is going to print user's first name. So we'll call this print first name. And what is this class going to do? Only print self dot first name. And then imagine that we have got the same and then we call this one last name, and we will print self.last name. We have got another function called print info, which is going to print all the information related to that person. How do we define this function? We want to say, for example, I am a student, and then my full name is self dot first name plus maybe a space and then self dot last name. So we are going to print all the information for this user. Alright, now we have written the whole class for the student. Of course, in a real case scenario, the class has different functions and different functionalities, but now we want to keep everything simple. We have a student class. In the constructor, we get the first name, last name, and age, and we have got three different methods, class methods, which print the first name, the last name, and the full information of that user. Let's create another class for the teachers. So we'll have a class called teacher, and in this class imagine that we have everything the same as in a student, because the teacher also has a first name, a last name, the age. We will fill the variables. We will print the first name, the last name. The only difference is here we want to say I am a teacher but not a student, and then the full name. We'll print the full name. Now if we want to use these classes here in our main application, we can generate objects from this class. But first of all, we have to import everything here. So we can say from people import student. Also from people import teacher. So we have imported teacher and student from this class. Let's create a student. Maybe student 1 is a student, and as you remember, we have to pass. PyCharm will give you hints: first name, last name, and age. Maybe the first name is John, last name is Brown, and he is maybe 15 years old. Then we have got a teacher. We have teacher 1, which is a teacher, and as you remember, also in teacher class we need to pass first name, last name, and age as the input parameters. Maybe the teacher's name is Martin, his last name is White, everyone is a color, and then maybe he is 44 years old. Now we have access to all the functions, the class methods that we determined for each of these characters. For example, we have student1 dot. After dot, you can see that we can access last name, first name, age directly. Also, we have access to print info, print first name, and print last name as the class methods. So we will write, for example, print first name, and then also maybe we want to print all the information related to that user. For teacher 1, maybe we will also want to print information. If we run this program, we are waiting for John to be printed, and then the whole information, which means I am a student, my full name, come on, my full name is John Brown, and for teacher also I am a teacher, my full name is Martin White. Let's run and see the results. I am a student, my full name is John Brown. I am a teacher, my full name is Martin White. But what if we wanted to add other characters? This file goes very long with a lot of characters which have these lines in common. So it is not a good idea to repeat the code. There is a rule in programming called dry. Don't repeat yourself. One of the ways to implement dry, don't repeat yourself, is to use inheritance. We will create a base class called person, maybe, whatever you like. And then in this class, we will pass all these functions. So class person has a constructor with these input parameters. It has print first name, print last name, and print info. And in the print info, we don't want to write I am a student because it is a person, it is a general class. So my full name is, and then write the full name only. Now in student class, we want to say we are a student, but we want to inherit from person class. So inside parentheses, you can inherit from a class. And when you inherit from a class, you have access to all functions and attributes in that class. So we don't need to write these functions anymore. But what about print info? If we also remove this one, when we call print info for a student, this information is going to be printed. But maybe we want to also add this one, add this sentence, I am a student, to the start of the sentence. We will override this function. So It is called overriding. What does it mean? To override a function with the same signature. What is signature? The way you declare a function. It means a function with this name and this set of input arguments. Here we only have self, and here also we have only self. So for this signature, we want to give another functionality. So we will repeat the same signature but alter the functionality. So we will override this function for a student. Say, I am a student, my full name is first name and last name, and not my full name is whatever. For the teacher, we have also the same story. As you can see here, print first name, print last name, and the constructor are still the same. For print info, we are overriding this print info in the person class. It means that whenever someone calls teacher.printinfo, we don't want this one to be executed. We want this print info function, which adds I am a teacher at first. Come on, here also, sorry, have to remove this A. All right. So we have provided a base class because we didn't want to repeat some parts of code which are common in different classes. So if you add other personnel to a school, all of them can have a constructor, can have print first name, can have print last name, and print info as a simple way if they inherit from this person class. Let's call our program again. We have student 1 like this, teacher 1 like this, and we don't want to change anything here. Let's see if there is any errors. Teacher Martin White 44 teacher takes no argument. Why does it give me this error? Because maybe for teacher I have forgotten to call person. Yes, here I have to add person as the superclass so that it recognizes what is the constructor of my class. Let's run this app again, and here say I am a student, my full name is John Brown. I am a teacher, my full name is Martin White. So if we call student 1 and put a dot after that, you can have access to all the functions inside class student 1 and also inside the base class, which is person. You can see that print info comes from student class, while print first name, first name, age, and print last name all come from person class. For teacher 1, we have also the same story. If we put a dot after teacher 1, the print info function comes from teacher class, while everything else comes from person class. We have got another benefit here. For example, for student, if we add another function, for example, print age, and then we want to just print self.age for student class. You can see that this function exists for student class, and since teacher doesn't inherit from student, teacher does not have access to this class. For teacher, print age doesn't exist because teacher inherits from person. Whatever exists here also exists for the teacher, and also whatever we write for the teacher. But whatever is here in student does not exist for a teacher, not even for a person. So here, if we write student 1 dot, we have got print age here, as you can see. If you write print, you can see print info, print first name, age, last name. But for teacher 1, you have only print info, first name, last name. We don't have print age anymore. This was the essence of inheritance. Of course, inheritance is very vast. You can read a lot about inheritance in python.org. If you've got any questions about inheritance in Python, please ask me in the comments. I will answer your questions as soon as possible. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to encourage us to create more videos. Have fun and don't forget to practice.